Start recording. Both audio inputs are working. All right. So let's see. Last time when we left off a couple weeks ago, you guys had, specifically Tohan, had activated the Sword of Zerial that you guys had finally found, although not in maybe the way that was being foreshadowed to you. The other group you were with had kind of intended to bring it to a figurehead in the city of El Terrell. And as soon as Tohan had taken the sword, he had heard a voice that basically told him that they could free the city from its chains, allowing it to escape Avernus, if he would simply I think, agree to the proposition to free this certain entity. The entity turned out to be Tiamat, the demon goddess of all dragons. All evil dragons worship Tiamat in Tyrell or Faerun or whatever you will. And of course, like, the evil dragons, typically speaking, would be the chromatic dragons, red, blue, white, black, green. Dave, Maggie would know a little bit about this, as Chazar, notably throughout the history of Jacinta, has been kind of noted to be an avid worshiper of Tiamat, although the things that you've noticed about Chazar when you've dealt with him have not really pointed you towards a wholly evil sort of being. It seems like he's more true neutral in his dealings with things. Like, he tends to want what's best for the people that he rules, and but perhaps there's a side of him you haven't seen yet. And it is known that Chazar, at one point in the history of Jacinta, actually took on a role as an avatar of Tiamat. So, fun fact, you can look this stuff up on the Forgotten Realms wiki, because I did.
Yeah, I think Maggie's association with Tiamat is like the degree to which Shazar was good was like just short of Tiamat. So he's like Tiamat represents like all the evil of that portion of history.
Yep.
So,
And
yeah.
traditionally throughout history, there was a period of time called the Untheric Wars, which involved Jacinta and its neighboring kingdom, Unther. You guys briefly dealt with that when the invading forces of Unther were attacking Jacinta. As it turns out, Tiamat, long ago, was involved almost directly in a war with Unther, uh, and sort of helped to put them in their place, we'll say. She didn't so much attack the kingdom itself, but she did attack their deities, eventually actually eliminating several from the Untheric pantheon, like killing these gods. So these are all things that you guys would kind of know in passing of as far as lore and Tiamat. Um, Jen Arianth would know a little more mystical side of it rather than the religious side of it and the historical side of it. You would know that Tiamat is thought to have originated when the god Io, or Ao, as you've heard him called, or heard it called, um, shed its form and became the mother and father of dragonkind, essentially. It as a divine kind of one above all sort of creature. It split itself in half and created evil and good. Um, that would be Tiamat and her brother Bahamut. Bahamut is the god king of all good dragons, such as the metallics and the gem dragons and things. I might be wrong in the gem dragons; they might be different, but anyway. So these are again, let's see, certain things that you would know. Tohan, as far as your knowledge of Tiamat, it mostly comes from like nursery rhymes that you would have had sang to you by your parents that involved Tiamat and how she was uh, going to eat all the bad children. Like, she's essentially like a spook tale. And Bahamut was like, "Oh, if you're a good little boy, then Bahamut will bring you treasures and toys when you are, when you're sleeping and things like that." It's sort of like almost like a Santa Claus figure. So it's a little different for you. You've sort of got a different spin on the lore because of your Dragonborn heritage.
Okay.
And Venadia, you have basically never heard of Tiamat other than in brief passing conversations when people would mention something about her. Being like you're sure you think of her just kind of as a tall tale, I would think.
Whoa. Everybody okay?
Yeah, sorry, that was my phone flying.
Sound like somebody took a spill.
There's an app for that.
I'll put that on mute for the moment.
So we will say that in your current situation, you guys are standing outside of the gates of the citadel in Elturel, like the main kind of castle fortification that is there. Toan, you are still in possession of the sword of Zariel. A few things happen. As Tiamat proceeds to break the chains, you can then see several of the devils that are fighting in contingents along the base of the city, like near where you are. You can kind of see them break off, including one that you're not 100% sure, but you're fairly certain that it could be Zariel herself, as she seems to be kind of donning that same dark spiked armor and flying up with her blackened feathered wings. And she's still wielding the large hammer that you saw her with before. Let's see. Up one of the chains, as it begins to break, begins to crawl the pet of the demon Yinagu that you so incidentally freed from the Bleeding Citadel, Roek Toek. Um, so at this point, you are now being beset by what is essentially a dragon god. Although she's not really attacking you, she's just blasting shit out all around the city, killing demons, killing humans, sort of indeterminately. And as she approaches, you can see Zariel joining this fray, making her way towards where Tiamat is flying about the city. And you're fairly certain there's gonna be a throwdown in a minute. The other members of your party, the ones that you encountered at Mordenkainen's tower, they begin to kind of have a panicked look in their eye, and one of them looks at Tohan and says, "Fool, what have you done? You've awakened the demon queen of the dragons."
What? Didn't mean to.
Is
Did,
so
did the sword change me in any way, or
Not that you can tell. There doesn't
Okay.
seem to be anything different about you, like, other than that it's a badass sword, and you're like, this is a fucking badass sword, yeah. You feel good holding it. You're like, it's no axe, but it's pretty cool for a sword.
I got another one. Can't use it that good. It's Holy Avenger.
the party that we're with, they weren't trying to bring it directly to Zariel, is that right? Or
No,
were they?
they were trying to bring it to the one of the dukes of Baldur's Gate, I believe it was, that happened to be in Elturel at the time the city was kidnapped.
Okay, Maggie suggests that they press on and try to find that guy while they get the sword to Zariel.
Okay. As soon as you make this suggestion, you hear a very loud snap, like a pop almost, and standing before you, coming out of a smoky kind of veil, waving and coughing, and sort of like like maybe she's not used to traveling like this quite so much, is none other than Mad Maggie. And she says, "Well now, what sort of business have we got going on here? I thought I thought the likes of you might be able to be trusted, but it seems here you are trying to abscond with my prize."
Now, we
We weren't absconded with no prize.
first of all, we haven't exchanged anything yet, so the contract is not even an issue at this point.
She says, "Yes, well, my Kenku, my Kenkus have informed me of your plan to bring the sword to the Duke. What do you think he plans on doing with it? Just auctioning it off to the highest bidder?"
Maggie says, let's get this to your lady immediately.
Maggie says, "My lady? Oh, you think I want to give the sword to Zariel?"
What what was your plan?
Oh, dearie. Oh, you have clearly not spent very much time in Avernus. Ah. My
Maggie
goal.
is like
My
ready
goal.
to.
We weren't going to give this sword to anyone that we didn't meet first and know their intentions with it.
And frankly, we haven't decided anything for certain as to what we're going to do with the sword yet.
Maggie very solidly made up her mind and is at this point doing anything she can to get it to Zariel.
Okay. So as
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm going to give it to this Baron or Lord or whatever.
yeah, as this conversation is happening, a blinding flash of light erupts from above the city as Zariel and Tiamat meet for the first time, and there is a just thunderous boom as the two clash. The battle occurs so fast that you can almost hardly see what's going on. Like there's bolts of magic flying about. And now several other dragons have seemed to join in the fray, various colors of the chromatic scale. And they are now essentially just laying waste to the buildings of El Terrell. Same thing, it's an onslaught at this point.
What does Lulu, the elephant thing, think of all this? What does she
Um,
have to say?
So upon seeing Zariel as she approaches above the city, Lulu lets out a small whimper and she says, "Oh my, how you've fallen, my beautiful master." And she begins to just sob uncontrollably.
So she's no help at all.
Maggie kneels down and kind of puts a hand on her and says, "You think that this sword will restore her to her goodness?"
Lulu looks up, wipes a tear from under her eye with her trunk, and just nods quietly with a little quivering lip.
Maggie calls over and says, "Umbra, can you teleport this to Zariel and I'll let her know what we're doing?"
Umbra just shrugs and kind of points at the sword, and the sword drops out from underneath. Or I'm sorry, Toan, you're holding the sword.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tohan has a say in this.
Is she just going to take the sword?
Lulu looks up at you and she kind of whimpers out, I'm sure that if my mistress saw the light that is her celestial weapon, she would be reminded of what a great warrior of the heavens she once was. I'm sure I could revert her from this darkened state she's been turned to by these evil devils."
All right.
So
Be ready to catch this thing, Umbra, if she doesn't take it.
Yep, Umbra just has a portal kind of sitting open waiting for you to chuck it in.
I'll check it out.
And Maggie will cast sending and yeah, I guess tell Zariel I don't know, some quick 25 word thing basically saying like
Oh, heads up.
yeah, well, I mean, basically reminding her that she's like this angelic being who's been brought low because of, she was disempowered by these devils, and now they're about to restore the power to her to defeat the dragon.
You give her the remember your true self speech.
Yeah, exactly. And the sword's coming.
Okay.
Am I inspired by this speech too, just listening to it, or?
I think everybody's inspired. I think you guys all get inspiration for that.
Oh yeah.
So the sword, you see for just a brief moment when your sending spell hits, it's like right before the sword goes in the portal. And you actually see Zariel turn and look down to the ground, pretty much where you are. And a scowl starts to cross her face. And as the sword exits the portal and comes within about 10 feet of her and begins to fall, she looks up, and you can now see this, and this is almost as if you were seeing it in slow motion with like some awesome Chariots of Fire music in the background. And her hand reaches up almost instinctually as the sword's hilt drops down to her. And as soon as she grasps the sword, a few things happen. Mad Maggie, lets out this blood curdling scream. And she flails herself down to the ground and begins pounding and kicking, and she's screaming out she'll get you. Tiamat lets out a mighty roar, and with all 5 of her heads at once, she starts blasting breath weapons at Zariel. You see a stream of cold and a stream of lightning and a cloud of poison gas all at once coming out. This massive belch of acid follows. It seems that Tiamat is essentially throwing everything she's got at Zariel. Lulu begins to take flight at this point, heading up towards her former and perhaps renewed master, saying something along the lines of, "Don't worry, mistress, I'm coming." And as she begins to fly up, you see Lulu begin to transform. She transforms from this small, kind of diminutive, Dumbo-esque creature, and her trunk lengthens, and her legs begin to get thicker and longer. And by the time that Zariel has fully grasped the sword, Lulu is now streaking like a shot of light towards her. You see fire erupt all around Zariel. And for just a brief moment, there's a cloud of smoke and black feathers, encompassed by this globe of light now. And Lulu proceeds to fly directly into that globe, her form still shifting and changing. And with another loud explosion, you see Zariel in her now celestial form. Not just 2, but 4 wings sprouting out of her back. Pure ivory white. Her armor now looking silver and white all over, with the emblem of the Hell Riders clearly emblazoned on her chest. And
Damn.
she lets out a great cry. Do any of you speak Celestial?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, she lets out a cry in some sort of a sound that sounds like the gods themselves were speaking. It's warming to all of you. Perhaps that's just as much where you get the inspiration from as anything else. And with a renewed fervor, she begins laying into Tiamat. As all of this is happening, your other companions that are left, the ones that haven't been disintegrated by the sword, now turn to you. They say, "We have to help the people of the city. What will happen? Will we smash into the roof of Avernus?" And as you look up, you realize that there does not seem to be any sort of a portal or anything above you. It just seems to be like this black gaping hole in the roof.
Umbra, can you tell what's going on up there?
She says, "Hang on a second." And she opens up a portal and sticks her head up into it. And you just see Umbra's head floating near all the shit that's going on up in the sky. And she's kind of looking around for a minute. And then she pulls her head back out of the portal, and you see her head disappear from up in the sky. And she looks and she goes, "Kind of just looks like a rock ceiling to me. I don't know." And at this, you realize that the city is still pretty steadily and maybe even increasing in its speed. It's accelerating now towards this ceiling. The remaining citizens that are out fighting for their lives against sort of devils and demons and dragons are all screaming, and most of them may be too busy to really notice what's going on above them. But the few who have looked up are already trying. You've seen people throwing themselves from the edge. This is not a pleasant scene. It's ugly.
So how did they get down through in the first place? I mean, wasn't a hole created when the city was pulled down?
Well, it seems like you ask the other companions that same question, we'll say, and uh, they sort of it tell you that they tell you that their memory of the event itself is sort of fuzzy, like almost as if there was some sort of a fog that came over them, and essentially when they came to from that experience, they were being dragged down by these chains slowly, like on the city.
I I get on my broom and how far from where we are is the ceiling?
We'll say it's maybe 1,000 feet up, but you're traveling up pretty quickly at this point. Like you're moving at like 30 or 40 feet a second, probably.
Um,
We'll say that if you could guesstimate, you'd say you've got maybe 10 minutes until the city of El Terrell smashes into this ceiling.
and do we know for certain that it is a solid ceiling and not an illusion?
No, you have no idea. You just know
Can
that
I do
Umbra
an
looked at it and said it looks solid.
Can I do an Arcana check to see?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nat 20. 27.
Nice.
Nice.
So yeah, you get the feeling that there is some extra dimensional shit going on here. Like you've now become familiar enough with portals and dimension hopping just through your own experiences that you sort of get a sense of that type of magic, and you think that perhaps, even though it just looks like a stone ceiling, that there may be some sort of a either a portal or a gateway or a doorway or some sort of magic here that will allow the city to exit Avernus.
Maggie,
I relay this to everyone.
Maggie casts thaumaturgy and yells out, "Everybody, stay calm. The ceiling will open. Don't leave the city, but come." What are they at? They're at like some central tower thing.
Yeah, there are a lot of people. I can't remember the name, and I don't have the book in front of me. But it is. It's essentially like the main castle in the town of El Terrell.
Yeah. So I mean, she yells, yeah, "Tell everyone you see, come to the castle.
Okay.
Don't leave the city."
All right. Make me a persuasion check, and I will see roughly how many of these people will actually follow your directions.
Can I help her with that and do one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, geez, I was like,
Oh,
on the
that was one of the worst persuasion checks I've ever
You
had.
can use your inspiration.
yeah. I've also got a luck thing now, so I can. All right, there we go.
All right, there you go. Beautiful.
And let's see for. All right, 28.
Okay. Yeah, so upon hearing your voice, a few of the citizens are now emboldened, having seen Zariel change back to her celestial form, and they actually begin fighting their way through the devils. You start to see some organization from these terrified townsfolk, and they start to get some of their, a little bit of their courage back. And many of them begin running now towards the cathedral where you guys all are. And as the ceiling looms closer and closer, Inamingle looks at Umbra and says, "So, how's your portals doing, kid?" And Umbra kind of stops for a minute. And she's like, "Oh, hey. Oh, wow." And she opens up a portal underneath the edge of the city where you guys are standing, because you're sort of close to one of the edges. She happens to open up a portal right around the edge of this place, just as Croak Toek begins climbing the chain. So you see the first paw come up, the second one. It brings its maw up and lets out a fierce, evil, abyssal hiss, and promptly is dumped through this portal. You can hear its roars as it fades away. And she goes, "That's right. You go home to the abyss where you belong, jerk." And then closes the portal. And she goes, "Yeah, seems like I can get to other dimensions again." Inamingle kind of looks at her and says, "Perhaps we should return to your father then, dear. He's probably very worried." And she sort of looks at him, looks over at all of you, looks at the other two that are standing there with you still. And she runs over to Maggie and gives her a hug. And Arianthe, as you are returning, you approach on your broom, and she runs over and she gives both you and your broom a hug. Kind
I
of
give her a hug back.
pats your broom on the broom handle and says like, "You were a good ride." She turns to Tohan and she says, "Thanks for teaching me how to juggle."
Always stay fun, kid.
She
I
just
say to
she
her, I
shoots
hope we
finger
meet
guns
again
at you.
someday.
Shoots finger guns at Tohan and goes, "You know it, big guy." All right, I guess I gotta be going now. I'll see y'all later. And she waves her hand, and a portal opens, and Inamingle is kind of urging her through, and she goes, "Wait a minute, you two. You ever been to the Outlands?" And she's talking to the other two members of your party here, and the other two members are looking back and forth. And one of them kind of shrugs and looks at the other one, and they're like, "It's better than getting crushed to death." So they accompany Umbra, and they all dive through this portal, which promptly closes behind her.
Well, there goes our ride, guys.
I
Did we ever
Yeah.
find your parents?
No. You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the
No,
only
we didn't.
parents in the city, I think.
Yeah. Well, that we thought maybe, yeah, that they got intercepted somehow or whatever. Yeah.
Now you still got thaumaturgy going, and she calls out the names that I can't remember of the native parents. Are you here?
All right. Let me roll a dice real quick to find out. Okay. You do not get any sort of response from your request. There's no like, "Yeah, we're here," or anything like that. It's just kind of people still running into the cathedral. The ceiling is now looming a very, very close distance. It's like a couple 100 feet at this point. Tiamat and Zariel have now brought their fight down to the ground in a thundering crash into the center of the city, creating a kind of a large crater near the edge of the chasm. If you guys remember, there is a huge chasm where a river was on the overworld, or the above ground world. And as they hit the ground, you can now see Lulu and Zariel in their full glory, and they are in this just locked in battle with Tiamat. There's multiple heads clamping down onto Lulu. Lulu is goring Tiamat with her tusks. It's one of the most vicious fights you'll ever see that you don't see because we're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, I see it.
So
Because you're painting a word picture.
yeah, this was the part that I was like, I have no clue what happens right now. As they hit the ground, a cloud of dust kicks up throughout the city, just covering any sort of real visibility that there is of both the ceiling, nearby houses. And suddenly, everything goes very dark. Not like, oh, the lights went out, not, oh, there was a cave in, but like ethereally dark and quiet. The noise of the battle fades. And for an indeterminate amount of time, you seem to just hang there in limbo. None of you seem to be able to talk to each other. Each of you maybe takes time crying out for the others, trying to find where they are. You can feel around, but you feel as though you're floating, as though there's nothing. Just eternal blackness. And then, one of you opens your eyes. I don't know who it is.
Me.
But, all right, somebody opens their eyes, and you see just the faintest light blue glow. And as you look around, you're no longer in El Terrell. You now find yourself in a dimly lit cavern. The ceilings vary in height from maybe 20 to 30 feet. And as you look around, you see some of your other companions here. And it is just the four of you. And you find yourself kind of on this ledge. with several pathways going off in different directions. But this is unfamiliar to all of you. You're not quite sure where you are now. You can tell that off about 15 feet away or so is a small stream that runs out of a hole in the side of the rock and sort of runs down, creating a large pool. And you can actually hear water running off in the distance in the caverns, leading you to believe that perhaps this is some sort of a underground stream that runs through this area, as you are definitely underground of some sort. All around you, you see mushrooms. All the plant life down here seems to have a faint glow to it, as though it were powered by like phosphorescence or something. Like it's like a naturally occurring light, sort of reminiscent of like a lightning bug, except for just sort of on.
Do I sense any control over these plants? Or are they of a different kingdom that I don't have control over?
You feel like you probably have some control over their growth and things. Like you could probably make them grow, but you don't think necessarily you could control the ones that would present a danger. Like if they were a sentient plant of some sort that was going to try to attack you, you might not be able to convince these things to stop. You might be able to. It all depends on probably
How persuasive?
probably a series of Arcana rolls if I had to guess. But yeah, so you guys are essentially here. There is a small ledge near where my mouse pointer is pointing here. Can you guys all see that? I hope.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, my OBS screen is like a quarter of my smallest monitor, so I literally can't see what's on it right now. So I'm hoping that works good. So yeah, there's a small ledge that drops down about 10 or 15 feet. As you look over it, you can kind of see the continuation of this river running off this direction. And you guys are free. You can kind of explore about this little area quickly. And you see that there's a pathway leading off to, we'll call it north for lack of a better term, because that's what it's going to wind up being. There's also a large kind of hole that leads down into the ground over here, surrounded by just these kind of treacherous looking ledges. And if you guys climb down the little 10-foot abutment or whatever, you can see there is a looped around kind of section of cave through here, and it goes down to a dead end. So it seems like your two options to exit this area are to the west on the river itself, which is fairly shallow and walkable. It's not like it's not like the Hudson. It's like, you know, somebody's dry creek in their backyard maybe. Or the tunnel leading to the north. And you guys are also free at this point to take any long rests you wish to do, or whatever you guys would like to do. Like, you are in a non-combat situation.
How long has it been since we've had a long rest?
It's probably been a day and a half. Like, the Avernus time scale is a little weird, so it's kind of hard to tell, but it's been a while since you guys have rested. Like, you were definitely borderline exhausted.
Well, probably should do a long rest.
Yeah, Arian, can Reggie tell if we're still on the same plane? Are we still in Avernus?
I asked Reggie to answer Towan.
Okay. So Reggie says, "Just a moment, I'll check." And you hear the modem noises that he always makes when he's trying to check Wikipedia, but this time it's much faster. It's only like a couple of seconds, and then he's right back, and he goes, "Oh my, yes, this is wonderful. It does seem we're back on Tyrell. I have full access to Wikipedia again."
That's some good news.
It appears we may be somewheres in the Underdark.
That's less good news.
Yes, so now a little
Underdark I can deal with.
A little bit of lore, in case you guys aren't familiar with the Underdark. This would be fairly widely known throughout Tyrell that this exists. The Underdark is a series of caverns and caves and tunnels and mines and every other sort of underground structure that you could imagine that stretches across the entire continent of Faerun, and some say below the ocean and to the opposing continents of like Asso and whatever the Far East campaign setting was. So yeah, you are all familiar with tales of the Underdark and how dangerous that it is. That being said, you guys have been like fighting gods lately, so maybe you're not super worried right now, but you are at least knowledgeable enough to know that you are in a fairly dangerous location.
Well,
Stay frosty, everyone.
I would say while we're in a place where there's nothing about to attack us and we can do it, take a long rest before we hit exhaustion.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Is there any wood around we can pile up?
There is no wood. However, there are a few very large mushrooms that seem to have kind of woody stems.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So if you
Split,
guys
split
chop
those up and kind of, yeah.
you can definitely make some sort of a campfire out of it. Just give me a survival check.
Okay.
Yeah, Maggie's also looking for like good edible mushrooms because she's so sick of this hell food.
Okay,
I got a 13.
Make me a separate survival check for the foraging. So on the 13, so you're able to get a fire going, although it's not like anything super nice. It's very smoky and smoldery, and the burning mushrooms do not smell very well.
Can I use my control flames cantrip to just expand the flame in that 5-foot cube?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like you're able to kind of quench that a little bit with that. You're the control of the campfire. I'm assuming I don't know where you guys want to set up your camp here for the night, like which part of this little cavern that you're in.
I was
Does
thinking
my
that little like alcove on the
Yeah.
northeast part of it there. That looks like a nice little camp spot.
Okay.
What do you
Can
guys
I
think?
use my infinity with plants to sense which may be poisonous and which not?
Yeah, we'll say that'll give Maggie an advantage on her foraging. So Maggie, what did you roll on that survival check?
Yeah, you got 23, but we'll see.
23. Okay.
Yeah, 23.
Okay. So you're able to find enough ferns that you recognize as being non-poisonous. They're like fiddleheads, basically. And a few mushrooms that you recognize from your cooking experience. And you get enough stuff together to make like a small stew. As I believe a lot of your food at this point has now rotted, anything you guys had on you. And I know Tohan had given some of his rations to one of the citizens in Helterel. So at this point, I'm not sure how much food you guys have on you, but you are able to at least get one good meal into everyone for the night.
Nice.
Excellent.
And I don't remember where damage-wise, but she'll also give inspiration or the inspiring leader thing in case anyone has less than the 16 temporary hit points.
Yeah. So just go back to 16, basically.
Yeah.
Cool. So everybody should be at full health and full spell slots.
Oh, and before she goes to sleep, she's also gonna cast her last spell slot for to check in with Zariel. She's feeling real cocky, but basically like what happened.
Okay. So just like being like, hey, I'm the one that gave you the sword. How'd everything turn out?
Yeah. I mean, so kind of like speaking to her as if what they were trying to do worked.
Might be better to try to talk to Lulu.
That's a good point. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if Maggie's talking about here's what I'm gonna do, then if Arianth recommends that, she'll reach out to Lulu instead.
Okay. So the gist of what you get back from her short reply is that Zariel has successfully driven Tiamat from the city of Elturel. She tells you that the city has made its way back to the surface, and that Zariel has chosen to return with her to these celestial planes, as it were, the planes of law and order and good, to attempt to regain her position as a general of the celestial armies. She gives great thanks to you for what you have done. However, she was not able to kill Tiamat, only drive her away. So Tiamat is still out there somewhere.
Lulu was the one who was going to be able to help me with finding the piece of the wand, right?
Yes.
Or the-
Which last you knew was in Avernus itself.
All right. Well, we'll have to figure this out first, and then I'll try to contact Lulu later.
Yep.
Can I do a commune with nature? It's a totem barbarian trait. I can briefly become one with nature and gain knowledge in surrounding territories. In the outdoors, the spell gives you knowledge of land within 3 miles of you. In caves and other natural underground settings, the radius limited to 300 feet. And basically, I can ask like 3 questions and get an answer on it.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to ask if there's any powerful celestials, fey fiends, elementals, or undead in 300 feet within us.
It's going to come back with yes. There are no. You do not get anything as far as celestials, but there are both fiends and abyssal creatures, and undead. No fey. I think that.
I'm going to see if there's any exits within 300 feet to get back to the surface level.
That comes back with a no again.
And then if there's any buildings or like kind of like prevalent plants, minerals, animals.
Yeah, that comes back with a yes. You detect the presence of some sort of crystalline structures. Like you can kind of see from the walls, like these small crystals going out. And perhaps because of this commune with nature thing, you are able to tell that they are all leading in one direction. It's actually going north out of this tunnel that you guys were near. Like somewhere's within the next 300 feet or so. And for reference, these are 16 times 5. So these squares, these tiles, are each about 80 feet or so. So within like the next 3 tiles somewhere, there will be some sort of crystalline structure.
I mentioned to everybody that, or I suggest that perhaps there's a reason that we were teleported here and that we should explore a bit. But if things get too heated, I do have the ability to cast a teleportation circle using both of my 5th level slots and get us out of here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I let him know about the buildings the nature told me that was further north of here, and also warn him about the possibility of running into fiends, abyssal creatures, and undead.
Bad guys.
I have a sweet radiant spell that I can use once as a level 6, as long as anybody who has any fiend in them stays out of the way. That Venadia, that would probably hurt you, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
that would be me. That would include
Yeah.
me for sure.
I would definitely warn you to stay behind me if I
Yeah.
cast it.
Well, how do I make myself safe from that?
Well, basically it's a brilliant beam of light that flashes out of my hand in a 5-foot wide, 60-foot long line.
Oh, okay. So
So
just gotta be
it's
behind.
literally a laser. It's like a sun laser.
Cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Don't point that
Yep,
shit
and
at
it
me.
does 68 radiant damage.
Oh, sorry. It's the Kamehameha. That's what it is. It's
Yes.
Yeah.
totally a Kamehameha attack.
Aaron has to go Super Saiyan first.
Yep. All right.
Cool.
So you managed to get your long rest uninterrupted. You do, however, during the night hear some sort of scurrying sounds as though a small creature of some sort was exploring about the outside edge of your camp. But even just kind of making a motion towards where you heard the sound from, you just hear it skitter off really fast. But
Can I say that? Sorry.
I was just going
I
to
was
say
just gonna say.
it does indicate to you that there is life, like active life down here, quite a bit.
Oh no. Can I say that in the 4 hours that I wasn't sleeping, that I was looking through that enchantment book I got a while back?
Yes. So as far as that goes, pull something up really quick here and see if I can find it. Provided that I remember where I put it. do not. So the enchantment book essentially describes the process of making a magical item. Is how it's laid out sort of like a college textbook. So like chapter 1, is selecting the proper item to enchant. Chapter 2 is something like how to tell if your enchantment worked. And it's got like these crazy like safety rules. Like as you're reading it, you actually can chuckle to yourself a few times on some of the safety rules. Like be sure not to point your new enchantment directly at anyone that you don't want to affect with it. Like things like that. And this very much it does. It reads like a high school primer for enchantment. But it does allow you the ability. The thing that you glean from this is that during your 4 hours that you are not resting or whenever, it will take about 4 hours essentially to complete this task. So that would be a comparable time that you could do things in. You learn to imbue any sort of fine or silvered weapon with a +1 to its attack. Like that's pretty basic enchantment, but you can literally just take 4 hours, take a nice weapon, and make it a nicer weapon.
Cool.
And it seems like as you study more of the chapters of the book, perhaps each 4 hours you study the book, you may be able to do something a little bit further. We'll say it's any fine weapon or fine armor, even, so that you could do a offensive or a defensive. That sounds like a few chapters. Sounds like 4 hours of reading.
Cool. And I can do one at one. How long would it take me to do each item? 4 hours?
It's 4 hours to do one item, and it's something you can probably only do once a day. So you're not like, you can't like take a day and make 6 magic items.
No doubt. Cool.
Like the process itself, I would assume, is kind of mentally taxing a little bit.
I'm just
Well,
remembering
guys.
that there was some kind of book that I was supposed to be reading, and it was going to advance some skill in something, and I have no idea what it was. I don't remember at all.
You had like a book of dexterity, and I think you had to read like
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
48 hours
Yeah.
worth of reading in like 3 days or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a little bit longer, but it
Yeah.
was a lot of reading in a short time that you had to spend just doing that.
True story.
Right.
Like many an adventurer, no time for fine things like books. So yeah. Anything else you guys would like to accomplish in this little downtime session here?
I don't know. Just
I mean,
do a little sharpie, I
yeah,
guess.
there's not too much more you can do. Yeah, you could absolutely.
I'll give Venadia javelin to make a +1 javelin if she's.
Yeah. I'll do
also
sharpie.
practiced.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, Arianth of javelin, if she wanted to try making it a +1 javelin.
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
So for this 4 hour rest, you were actually reading the book, but I will say that this particular time, you were kind of like, if you want, you could be like working on the javelin as you're reading the book. So by the end of the
Cool.
4 hours, you would have a +1 to hit javelin.
I hand it back to Tohan. Say, here you go.
Thank
Is
you.
there any way that if
I give her another javelin.
Ariant and I were working together on it with some like family trade secret blacksmithing knowledge, that we could speed up the process at all?
Probably not speed up the process, but you could probably improve the process if you're working together and make it, instead of because your sharpening ability also gives you the ability to make something to add a +1 to it, right?
I don't know. There's like different ways to. I've seen different interpretations of that rules, but I'm not sure. I think that's like a homebrew type of thing.
Yeah, probably.
It's not really any specific thing with using a whetstone to sharpen stuff like that. But,
yeah, I would assume that, like with a whetstone, let's say that because it's a non-magical thing and you're just really good at it, you just know how to get a keen edge. Probably after the blade is used for a day or two, it's gonna lose that property. So if we were to put it at a day of regular use or something, I mean, we could put like a number of attacks on it if you wanted to get really specific, but we could just guesstimate that after about a day, it would lose that additional +1. But you could totally like take that javelin that's now magical and sharpen the shit out of it, or sharpen it before you give it to Venadia, or to Arion, sorry. And yeah, it could totally come out a +2. Or you
Okay.
could like
And
sharpen one javelin while she's magicking another, and you could have one
Ooh, assembly line
temporary and one,
style.
yeah.
if we work together,
Cool.
would that +2 be permanent?
It would be a +1 permanent
And then
with
just
a
a plus
with like a
Yeah.
temporary
Temporary,
+1,
yeah.
+2. Gotcha.
One DM I read was like it was something just basically like you said. It was except they said like 8 hours or I forget how many attacks, like whichever
Yeah,
was
and that's,
sooner.
I mean, like realistically, it would be a number of attacks, I would feel like,
Right. That makes
because
more sense. Yeah.
yeah, you would have to do damage to the sword that way. I've seen people that actually have like durability on their weapons in their games, which is kind of cool.
Mm,
Like, but I don't like tracking things like that, so I don't
yeah.
bother.
Yeah. It's too much.
I do a lot of hand waving in D&D in case you guys haven't
Need all
noticed.
spreadsheets and shit at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Um, all right. So we'll say that pretty much chews up the rest of your downtime, I think. And which direction are you guys planning on heading out of here?
I think we were planning on going north.
That's kind of what I was feeling. Yeah.
Either that or get
Yeah.
soggy feet. All right, let's shuffle up our dungeon deck. And see. Let's see what happens.
Nice shuffle effect.
That's a good shuffle effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a custom deck that I built today. I didn't design all the pictures, obviously, but I did go find cave geomorphs on like Reddit somewhere, and had to run them through a program to make a single PNG file of them, and then run them back through Tabletop Simulator to split them all up into these. So we'll see how it
That's
works.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I absolutely love geomorphs. I think they're the neatest freaking thing because they're all just built to go together like this, and you wind up with a different map every time, which is
Yeah, that's awesome.
exactly how the Underdark works. You're never supposed to go through like it's constantly shifting and changing. So even if you're
Mm.
returning through an area, chances are there's been like cave-ins or like maybe a big fucking creature dug a tunnel through some area or something.
So almost like how sand dunes are always like
Yeah,
moving and
constantly
stuff.
shifting, exactly.
Right.
Just in this case, it happens to be underground.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool.
So I will move you guys right up to the edge of this. So you now find yourselves in a narrow tunnel. In spots, it actually narrows right down to like 3 feet, so only one of you at a time can pass through. But you are able to kind of come to a little ledge. And check out my encounter on my other screen here. As you approach, there is a ledge that climbs back up about 10 feet or so here. It seems like you are headed in an uphill direction. And as you peer over this ledge to see what lies beyond, Toan, you can see the crystals on the walls are now coalescing into larger and larger crystals. And in the center of this large cavern here, you can see that there is a sort of tower or mound of crystal that is surrounded by a cloud of black dust. Give me a perception check.
12.
Okay. You see what looks like 4 large creatures that appear to be carapaced, have large pincher-style claws, almost like a crab or a lobster. And they walk along on 4 legs, 6 legs. Let's do this. And if you would like to make me either a survival or a history check, we can find out if you know what they are.
Can Maggie give him guidance on this, or is this all kind of like
Absolutely.
cool? So D4.
Okay.
14.
All right. You think you recognize these from stories that you've heard as Chul. They are a type of aberration that lives and breathes in water. Sort of, they're an amphibious creature, known to kind of lurk in underground pools and things. They are known to be, I believe, poisonous.
Is this the thing that we encountered in that when there was that like landslide or whatever with the beavers?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I've used these guys yet. Right now they are. Here, I'll see if I can pull up the picture of this thing.
Does Maggie's Eye of Argos tell us anything?
It does. This guy over there is a picture of a Chul. Can you guys see that or no?
No.
No.
Okay, then I gotta switch OBS. Which
Is it light enough in here that dark vision and stuff is irrelevant?
Yeah, I mean it's lit up dimly. Those of you with infravision or dark vision would be able to see a little bit better, or a little bit clearer, maybe. All right, how's that?
It's a rock lobster.
Basically, yeah, it looks like a lobster with some gross fucking Cthulhu tentacle worm things coming out of its face.
Do we hear the sweet sounds of the B-52s playing?
No, unfortunately. Or maybe if you do, it's like a version that they're like tapping out with their claws and toes.
Oh,
Click, click,
yeah,
click,
yeah, yeah.
I
click,
can
click,
totally
click,
hear
click.
it.
Medieval version with like a lute and stuff.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, as far as you can tell, Tohan, there is 4 of these things kind of. Oop. 4 of these things kind of hanging out around the crystal mound. And oh no, what did I do? Where's my summary? I lost my summary. They appear to be sort of looking about as though they're waiting for something. Like they're all just hanging out by this crystal thing with this smoke, kind of looking at it, tipping their head sideways.
I asked Reggie if he recognizes any magic or anything about this crystal thing that would interest us.
He tells you that throughout the Underdark, crystalline structures like this seem to be a focal point for a local magic known as the Phasres. The Phasres is sort of like the magic equivalent of a fungus. It sort of is just a persistent thing in the Underdark. It exists on some level parallel to the Weave, almost as if it's the Underdark's own version of the Weave. Although it is known to be kind of interconnected with the Weave of magic. The Phasris has very unpredictable effects, he tells you. It can lead to all manner of interference in magics. So in stronger locations like this of the Phasris, it is pretty common for magic to go wild.
Good to know.
You try to cast one spell and it might just cast a totally different spell. Yeah, but he also tells you the Phasris is what's responsible for all of the glowing shit you guys see.
Well, I don't like the look of these things, so I'm probably gonna just be like, got some monsters. Let's fucking get them.
Okay. If you guys would like, I can auto roll initiative for all of you.
Sure.
Why not?
I get advantage on initiative rolls. I don't know if it does
I
that.
believe it factors it in. I think.
It probably would, yeah.
Okay.
I know you at least got your bonus on it. Because I'm using the encounter generator on D&D Beyond. Okay, so our initiative order is going to be Venadia, Maggie, Tohan, Arianth, and the hell, why didn't auto roll the initiative for those guys? I thought it did. Hang on. Weird, I just randomly set them all to 0. I don't know why. Perhaps because they are unaware, I suppose. I don't know.
While this is going on, I hop back on my broom. I assume we're in a big enough area for me to fly in it.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's large enough for you to fly. Well, I guess we'll go with that, and they'll all just go after you guys because you're surprising them. Maybe that's why it did that. I don't know. That's weird. Um, so okay. Venadia, you're up first. Oops.
Um,
Let me get some of these guys out of my monster box here.
yeah, we don't see the map, by the way.
Oh, you guys don't see that. Oops. Oopsies. There we go. Monsters. Search. We're gonna play the hope that they're already in the box game.
What's in the box?
Hey, look at that. We get some tools. All right. That's too big. These guys are normal size. And gotta turn grid points. We'll say that the crystalline structure is sort of in the middle of this little gully right here. And these guys are all on the closer side to you.
How far away are we from them?
10, 15, 20, 25 feet maybe. Within charging distance for sure.
They're like some kind of crustacean thing, you said?
Yeah, they look sort of like a lobster with 4 legs.
Mhm.
Did the Eye of Argos give us any strengths or weaknesses?
It did tell you that they are here. They are immune to poison. They do have dark vision, and it tells you that they can understand deep speech but don't speak.
Alrighty.
No obvious weaknesses. Although they do not appear to be a particularly strong creature. They have an AC of 16, 93 hit points, and a movement speed of 30 feet.
Cool. Well, my buddy Tohan says attack these things, so I'm gonna run at the closest one and swing at it.
Okay.
And I say to everyone, looks like lobster rolls are on the menu tonight.
Erin has chuckles and rolls her eyes.
I thought you were gonna go with a for Frodo thing, but
Some D&D parties collect pets. Some of them slay dragons. My party just eats everything they come across.
Or at least try to.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of options out here. Okay. Alrighty.
Sorry about the random zoom ins. I keep trying to zoom in on the other page on D&D Beyond and forget to click off Tabletop Simulator, so it zooms both of them. All right, so swingy fighties.
Swingy fighties. 3 hits.
Excellent. They are all definitely hits.
$44.
44 damage altogether. Okay. Go ahead and call this guy Tool A so I don't get confused. That's 44. I love being able to scroll wheel the damage. Bam. Oh, it's so fast. Okay. Anything else, Venadia, or you're spent, right?
I'm spent.
Okay. It's the next person. Maggie, you are up.
All right, she's gonna get into the mouth of the cave and cast a 4th level spiritual weapon. We'll say at the same one that Nadir just attacked. Oh, jeez. Oh, wait, cool. 27.
All right, that is definitely a hit.
The dice are moving so slowly for some reason.
I blame the Russians.
Yeah, it's the Russians. 14 damage.
14 damage. This was on which one?
The closest one that Benadia attacked.
Okay.
How's it looking?
Pretty hurt. Pretty hurt. Let's see. I'm sorry, you said you did 14 damage, right?
Yep.
It is now bloodied. It is down to 35 hit points, according to the Eye of Agos.
Okay. Maggie will cast Guiding Bolt at the next nearest one.
Okay.
That's 21 to hit.
Yep, that hits.
And 17 damage.
Bam, damage done. Right. These creatures are quite flummoxed right now as you just charged in and started zapping and smacking them. Anything else for your turn, Maggie?
Nope.
All right, Tohan, you are up.
I'm gonna rage and rush up to the one that Vanadius is in front of, and attack at recklessly Groot Weapon Master.
Okay.
22 to hit.
Yep.
Uh, 35 damage.
Okay. I believe that. Yep, that's exactly what I had left was 35.
And then I'm gonna stand right in between like the three of them, and attack the one that was hit by a guiding bolt.
Okay.
Same thing. Yeah.
Devastating blow.
A lot to hit, and then 35 more damage.
All right.
And
That one's now bloodied.
because I killed something, I get to attack again with Great Weapon Master, and yeah, a whole bunch to hit.
If you didn't already have advantage, you have advantage on that one.
Well, yeah, I was attacking recklessly, and that one's 34 damage.
That is on the same one you just hit, right?
Yep.
34 more damage, you said?
Yep.
All right, he is very bloodied. Yeah, I mean, lobster meat's just flying all over the place at this point. It's ugly. I believe that finishes your turn, right?
Yep.
Go back up. Multiple scroll boxes. All right, Ariel, it is your turn.
Alrighty. I will cast Firebolt at the very bloodied one that Tohan just attacked.
Okay.
I got a 11 at which I know doesn't hit, but I'm going to use one of my points to re-roll that.
Okay.
There we go. 23.
Definitely a hit. Pretty sure you're gonna kill it. Yep.
19.
A and B are dead. Bloop bloop.
All right. And as a bonus action, I'm going to bring up my dire wolf that I always forget to use.
Okay. Let's see, I've got a thing for that.
My Hound of Ill Omen.
Direwolf. Look at that. He's not that big. Yeah, and the only bad part about scaling the map this way is that I have to separately scale each thing. I have to remember to take the toggle grid off. I can move them around freely, but yep. Bloop. Direwolf.
All right. He's supposed to roll initiative and then have his own turn.
Okay. Go ahead and roll initiative for him, and I will add him in.
11.
What's his hit points start off as? Does it say? Or do you just use the stat block for Direwolf?
Sorry, let me get back to it 1 second. The hound is medium, not large. Counts as a monstrosity. Hound uses direwolf statistics.
Okay. Direwolf stats. This one. Hit points 37, speed 50 feet, AC of 14. Bam. Alright, he's in the initiative. He's actually going to go next. What would you like your direwolf to do?
Attack the next closest one to him.
He charges in. And, go ahead and give me a d20 roll, and we'll add his, you get it. Attacking at +3, it looks like.
8.
You rolled an 8?
Yeah.
Okay, so 11 all day, so he does not get a hit on these guys.
Alrighty. Oh, that's my turn. Or his turn, rather.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's +5 to hit, not +3. So that would be still not a hit, right? Yes, correct. Okay. Next would have been Chul A, but he's dead. So Chul B. Make sure he's dead. Chul C is about to go. That would be this guy right there. He's going to turn and attack the direwolf, I believe. Give me a stat block. Thank you. Let's see, attacks at. He makes multi-attack. First one of which is going to be a pincher attack at the direwolf. That is a 13 plus 6. Oh, I could roll it right there. Duh. So that's going to be a 19 to hit your direwolf, which does hit. On his hit, he's going to do 9 damage all day to your direwolf.
How many hit points does my direwolf have?
I think I said 37, correct? Yep, 37 total he's got. His second attack, he is going to attack Tohan. Oh, and your direwolf is now grappled. He can roll a DC 14 strength check with a +3 on the beginning of his next turn. So pinch your attack to Tohan, just like this. Next. is a 15. Does not hit you, correct?
Nope.
Okay, so you do not take a hit and are not grappled. Right. That's his turn. Next one's going to be the next Chul. He's standing next to you, Tohan, so he's going to go ahead and attack you as well. Multi-attack 1. 2. So that's a 14. And a 8. Both are misses, correct?
Yeah, my AC 16.
Okay. This is when you notice on the other side of the ledge another 4 of these things standing behind this pillar of crystal that you did not previously notice. They seem to be kind of crowded around this particular exit, with the ones in front here alerting them somehow through their clicking and chattering. And they begin to kind of make aggressive motions towards you and start to clamber towards you, but not in any speedy fashion. So that brings us back to Vanidia. Nick, you might be on mute. I'm not sure.
I am muted. I said I'm going to use the Sword of Flames and put a wall of flame on that ledge there. Those
Nice.
4 are. So that will, let's see, so 1 foot thick wall, 20 feet high. Each creature within its area must make a dexterity saving throw. It's a DC 13. 5d8 fire damage or half as much on a successful save.
Oh, all of fire's not gonna work. That's tough.
So the damage is 19.
Okay. That's for anybody who is in it, right?
Yeah, anyone
Or
who's
passes
I
through
think
it.
it's hang on. It is that's on their side of the wall. Within 10 any creature that enters that ends its turn within 10 feet takes that damage or when it enters the wall for the first time.
So something like that, right? That's what you were looking for.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so
I guess so if they start within 10 feet of it, would they're entering it for the first time or what?
yeah, I mean, I would assume that it counts. Like, you could probably cast this wall of fire basically under their feet so that they're in it.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be like blasting fire in that direction, like 10 feet out, basically.
Yeah, so even if you dropped it right in front of them, you could still hit them for sure. So you said the damage is what, 19 on that?
Right.
I give all these guys 19 damage.
And then if they end their turn there, then they I guess we re-roll. And that is let's see, concentration up to 1 minute.
Okay. So as long as you are not attacked, or not hit, I'm sorry, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Multitasking. All right. So those guys are now damaged accordingly. All right. Next one is going to be Maggie.
All right, she'll move the pan up to the next closest. Are any of them damaged right now?
Right now, none of them are damaged, as far as I know.
Oh, wait, Zach, do I get a bonus action?
Yeah, I mean, if you still want to take it.
I just want to put a hunter's mark on just one of those dudes up there.
One
I
of the
guess.
four. Okay.
Yeah, second one in.
Hunter's Mark.
That's fine. I point to him. I'm like, "You're fucked."
And I'm sorry, Maggie, not none of them. All the ones in the back row took 19 damage, but the two up front have not had any damage done to them.
Okay. Yeah, she'll move the pan up to kind of between the two remaining ones up front and hit the one closer to all of them with it. So. $17 to hit.
That hits.
And God, that is so slow. I have to start using actual dice. 19 damage.
19 damage, okay. Dang it.
And then I guess we'll do another guiding bolt at the I'll say the closest of the ones in the back that's already been damaged.
Okay.
That's gonna hit 22 to hit and 14 damage.
Pew pew.
So if somebody hits that within the next before Maggie's next turn, they got advantage against it.
Which one is it?
The closest one with the fire damage.
Farthest one on the left in the back. Guiding bolt. Make a note of it.
And I guess she'll move up, I don't know, like a square or two.
Somewhere's up there.
Sure. And that's it.
Alright. Next up is going to be Tohan. Murder lizard gonna murder some lobsters.
I'm actually gonna pull out my horn of blasting, which I can do in the 30-foot cube cone, and see if I can try to hit all of them.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be able to. I don't see why you wouldn't. See if I can draw a box around it here. I mean, yeah, I would say that's within 30 feet, probably. So, okay, horn of blasting it is.
It's a DC 15 con save for them. On a failed save, they take 5d6 thunder damage and are deafened for 1 minute. Successful save, they take half damage. And then there's a 20% chance that this horn's going to explode.
Excellent. They're only proficient in perception. That doesn't do me any good. Constitution saving throw, you said, correct?
Yep, DC 15.
It's a 12 all day. I'm going to assume that I'm not rolling a million dice for these, so they all get it. So you hit all of them. And then it is, what was the damage on it?
I think it was 5d6, unless they're made out of glass or crystal. And then it's like 10d6 or something crazy.
They are not, however. The huge crystalline structure definitely gets some damage here.
Crap. I got too many. Hold on.
This is where real dice definitely prevail over digital dice. Because like you just grab 5 dice and roll them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's too bad. That's good dice right there. There we go. And that is the worst at fucking 11. They take 11 fucking damage.
Each of them take.
The other one
11.
was 37, and I fucking because I rolled like a 5, 5, 6, 6, and I rolled like a 2.
Well, 11 damage to each of them isn't bad. And then is there a knockback on that too, right?
Oh yeah, sorry. I got to roll a percentile dice. So anything over 20%, it doesn't explode. 74. So it doesn't explode.
Nice.
And that's my turn.
All right. Finish assigning damage to. That's one. It's going to be Arianth. No, I can't hear you, Jen. I don't know if you're muted.
Yep, sorry, I was.
No worries.
I'm gonna float up to about so that I'm eye level with the ledge, but back away,
Okay.
and then I'm going to cast level 4 erupting earth at the 4 on the ledge.
Okay.
And that's a dex 16 saving throw.
Right. That is an 11. They do not make it. These are some klutzy ass underground goddamn land lobsters.
All right. They each take 26 damage. Bludgeoning damage.
6.
And the ground in that area becomes difficult terrain until cleared.
Okay, so I believe all up bloodied. Six. I accidentally took it from the 2 in the front. That's okay. All right, so the 4 in the back are blasted by this this mass of earth. And it's even worse too, because like all the rocks and shit that come up with it are blown through Vanadia's wall of fire. So they're not just getting hit with like debris and rocks and mud and shit. They're getting hit with like boiling debris. So that's pretty awful. Okay. And did you have a bonus action or anything else?
No, I'll call that my turn.
Okay.
Because I have my dire wolf next.
Yep. It is your dire wolf's turn.
And I will attack, and I will have the dire wolf attack the one that Maggie put, what is it, advantage on?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the guiding bolt over here. You want him to jump across the little like trench and attack him?
Oh wait, never mind. I didn't realize it was one of the ones
he's
on
one
the
of the ones
ledge.
that's in the flames and on the ledge.
Yeah.
And...
Never mind.
Okay.
I'll just have the dire wolf attack the closest one to it.
Okay. It's gonna be D20.
So it's a D20 plus 5.
Yep.
$14.
Here's your dire wolf stats.
It would be a 14.
14, I believe, is a hit. Right? I said nope. 14 misses. It's a 16
Right.
armor class for these guys.
Well, I guess that's it for the dire wolf.
Fangs just can't do much against that Titan.
There's a picture of our dire wolf. Here we go. Back to the map. So after that, the A A's dead, B's dead. C. This guy right here, getting snapped at by the direwolf again. The direwolf is still grappled.
Oh wait, I forgot to roll for that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It technically would be at, I think, disadvantage, if I remember correctly.
Well, isn't there someone? Am I supposed to be able to do a strength check or something to get out of it?
Yes, you can do a at +3 roll to try to get a DC 14, I think it is. Yes.
All right, just roll a d20 for that.
Yeah, so D20 +3. Let's see if you get 14.
20.
All right, so yeah, it broke free of its grapple. So that's unfortunate for me because it means that it doesn't get to stick its tentacles into your wolf's brain.
Oh.
That's sad. So let's see. So instead, it is going to, after the wolf breaks free, it is going to make a pincher attack at the wolf. Its first attack. That is crap. It is going to make a pincher attack at Tohan. That's even worse crap. Stupid lobsters. Next is going to be D. You'd think the D&D Beyond guys would figure out that when it gets to 0 hit points to take it out of the initiative for monsters. It seems like it would auto do that, but it does not. So I have to scroll through like all the dead monsters too. Like nope, 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 nope. It's really depressing as a dungeon master. You guys kill shit way too fast.
Well, if something brought him back to life, you know.
Yeah, there are definitely undead things in here, so
You just gotta start making some Chul clerics.
Yep. I used a really awesome encounter generator for this entire dungeon. I figured since I was doing randomly generated dungeon, I could kind of pre-plan the encounters and just set them accordingly. Let's see, second one is up with Tohan. He's going to attack Tohan with both pinchers. 17, that's a hit, correct?
Oh yeah, that hits.
Excellent, okay. It's going to be 10 damage, and you are now grappled at the beginning of your turn. You can make a DC 14 strength check.
Okay.
Which probably will not be hard for Tohan, I'm guessing. Second attack. That is a 16 to hit.
That hits.
Well, and because you are grappled, I get to make an additional attack with my tentacles. That's 11 damage for the second hit.
Okay, reduced to 5.
Let's see. So I need you to succeed on a DC 13 Constitution saving throw, please, or be poisoned for 1 minute.
18.
Okay. So yeah, you feel the warmth of the poison kind of going into you as the tentacles latch on, but your Constitution is able to deter it enough to not affect you.
I like to think Tohan like squeezed just the right muscles to shoot the poison back out.
Back into the tentacles, yeah, absolutely.
I use my brain muscles.
It's like it hits him in the pecs and he just flexes real hard. Right. The 4 that are behind this all start their turn. How much damage did that wall of fire do again?
It was 19 if they didn't succeed on their saving throw.
That's
I
right,
think
they
which
get
was
a dex saving throw.
DC 13, dex, yeah.
Okay, none of them make their save. Alright, 19 points to each of them. Maggie is watching their hit points just blink down rapidly at this point.
Boiling them alive.
Pretty much, yeah. Cooking the lobster dinner.
I said it was on the menu.
Alright, so the lead one here starts turn, takes his damage, he crosses over, he attacks you, Venadia.
Cool.
Making his 2 attacks.
Let's party, bug boy.
Garbage. That's Jesus Christ. I'm gonna have to buy a different set of dice on D&D. I swear, the default dice, you don't hit with default dice on D&D. You gotta buy the upgraded dice to get good hits.
I bought the mythic set, and I don't
Yeah,
think it makes a
see,
difference at all.
I think it should. You know what? I'm all for it. I'll pay to win. So let's see. Next one. Scroll through. This guy's going to attack the direwolf. Which one? That, I think, is a hit. I think the direwolf was... Yep, that's a hit. It's 14. Doing 15 more damage to said direwolf. Carry on, your direwolf is now at 13 health and is badly bloodied. Second attack, he's going to attack that direwolf again. That is big hit. That is 12 more damage. Your direwolf has 1 hit point left. And I need
Direwolf is taking him for the team.
And I need it to make a DC 13 Constitution saving throw. So roll me a D20. Your direwolf has a +2 Constitution bonus.
8.
So 10 all day. That is nope, nobody, nope. So the poison takes effect on your direwolf. Until it ends, this target is paralyzed. It can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. So that is the end of that guy's turn.
Direwolf is taking the hits for the team.
Thanks, Wolf.
This one
Oh,
charges
buddy.
up at Tohan. It's 18. That's going to be a hit for whopping 7 damage halved.
Okay.
And a solid miss with a 9. Last guy. Get anybody? 5, 10, 15, 20. Maybe.
I don't know if they get advantage because I'm restrained or not.
This guy actually can't reach you, I don't think. 30 feet, I see his speed was. Yeah, he can't quite reach you anyways. Yeah, you are currently grappled, aren't you? So let's double check that real quick. Let's see, tools. I had like a nifty little cheat sheet thing, and I don't remember where the hell it went. It's basically like a DM screen, but all.
It says a grappled creature speed becomes 0 and it can't benefit from any bonus to its speed. The condition ends if the grappler is incapacitated. The condition also ends if the effect removes a grappled creature from the reach of the grappler or grappling effect, such as when a creature is hurled away by the Thunderwave spell. So it doesn't say anything about getting advantage.
Yep, it just means that you are currently restrained and can't move without breaking free. Or at least can't break. Yeah, you have to make your roll to break free of their grasp. That's not to say that you can't get creative and like deadlift these guys while they're holding on to you. I don't know.
Yeah,
just
there's
to
a difference between
pick them up
grappled
and
and
run.
if I was restrained, attack rolls have advantage.
That's what the difference is. Yeah. So it's just basically grappled just means somebody's holding on to you. Okay. Yeah. So that's gonna be the end of his turn, which I think brings it back up to the top of the order. Yep, Venadia, you are up. Round 3.
Okay. Well, there's one right under my sword swing there, so it's getting chopped.
Chippy choppy.
Does a 16 hit?
16 does hit.
Okay, then I have 3 hits.
Oh, that was a really bad delay. Like they're just coming up now of your attack rolls.
Yeah, and I'm clicking some and they're not rolling, and then I'm waiting to make sure they don't roll, but yeah, do it again. All right, so what's that? 29 plus 18 is, what is that, 47?
Let's see, 18, 14, 15. Yep, 47. He did.
Which one was that?
The one that you were right on top of would have been Jewel E. You actually would have also had advantage on that attack.
Okay. I think F is the one that I have Hunter's Mark on.
Yep,
Oh, you
F
put it on.
is.
Cool, nice. Slick.
Finally learning to take notes.
All right. Well, that'll do it for me.
Initiative order. Right. That's going to be Maggie up next. Frying Pan of Doom.
Which ones of these are damaged?
All of them are now super damaged.
Okay.
Direwolf has 1 hit point. This particular Chul here has 18 in order. I'll go right along in order here. 18. This one here, Chul C, actually has 63 hit points still. And D, which is this one, has 82. This one, however, H, is down to not many. The remaining 2 each have 18. Any of them that were standing in the fire are really badly damaged. Like,
Okay.
Very
Well,
funny.
the 18 one that's close to the direwolf, Maggie, you'll hit that with the frying pan. So
Okay.
that is
It locks the game log onto the screen. That's
25 to hit,
That's
and
it.
$11 damage. um, she'll cast Toll the Dead on.
That one
I guess I'll.
that one is reduced to 7, just so you're aware.
Okay. Yeah, I guess she'll cast Toll the Dead on that one.
Okay.
So Wisdom 17 saving.
Oh, good. These guys are not wise. That is a 10.
14 damage.
Okay, it dies.
Oh, actually, it's a lot more damage than that. I forgot. Okay, that's it.
All right.
She'll go. She'll go like stand in front of the wolf, basically try to get up in that guy's face.
Okay. Let's see. Next is Tohan.
Is it an action to break the grapple, or?
I don't believe it counts as an action. Condition. Oh, that's why it's because I kept clicking grapple as an action, not grappled as a condition. It doesn't really specify either. I'm not gonna call it an action. It's just it'll be a free action to try to break free.
All right, I got a 29 on my strength saving throw.
Okay, so yeah, you easily break free of this thing's grasp.
All right, I'll attack it twice recklessly. Great Weapon Master.
Okay.
Yeah, and ooh, a natural 20.
Nice.
It's dead. I'm assuming. I don't know. It might be. This one actually has some hit points left. The one that you're swinging at has 63. Assuming that you're swinging at the one right here in front.
55 damage.
Okay.
I guess try to hit it again. It's a natural 19. Okay, yeah, it definitely hit again. $35 damage.
Okay. It is very dead.
All right, well, because I killed something using my Great Weapon Master, I get to attack one more time.
Okay.
Not great. 17 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
Okay. I'm sorry, 34 damage.
Okay. Did you want to direct this at the one that is still healthy, or did you want to kill the other one that's standing right next to it?
I want the one in front of the wolf because I see the wolf soul.
That one's dead. That's the one you just killed.
Okay, the one closest to the wolf still then. One right in
Okay.
front of me.
So that's going to be this guy. So, damage 34. So he's just about bloodied now. He looks like he's about halfway down. I have Agos would tell you 48 out of 93 hit points. All right.
Maggie's like, he's down to 48 out of 93, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, like that's funny because as your character wouldn't know what the hell a heads-up display was, right? And they've never seen a video game before. All of us would know, but all right. Next after that is I believe Ariane. Yep.
How many we got left there?
There are 3 of them left. You have one that has like 48 hit points, and then the other 2 have like 18.
All right. I'll do a level 3 erupting earth at them.
Okay. Yep, they're in a line. You can get them without hitting Tohan.
Yeah, just push it back. All right, so it's a deck 16 again.
Okay. Oh, they actually got it this time.
Oh, so they get half damage.
Okay. So damage gonna be
10 each.
They would have been dead. All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. That's gonna move it up to your direwolf's turn. He's still at 1 hit point and is paralyzed by the poison still.
What is there a roll he can
it
do
is
to?
Constitution, I think it said. Individuals stat block here. Yes, it is a DC 13 Constitution saving throw. So your Wolfy Wolf. Oh, I don't remember what his Constitution said. I think it was a +2.
Right. Oof. Nat 1.
Oh, okay. So he does not pass that. So he is still paralyzed for his turn. Next up is going to be these last. Oh, did it really just reset all that? Oh, it sure did. Ah, the joys of refreshing the internet. Okay, so you guys have 3 attacks to deal with. One of them is going to attack Tohan. 2 of them are going to attack Tohan, I think.
I attacked recklessly, so they get advantage.
They get advantage, that's right. First attack. First attack's 21 on the first roll.
Oh, yeah.
Second roll, just checking for crits. Nope. So they got 1 hit. Second attack with the first guy is a 16. That's a hit as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, check for crits. No crits. Alright, so this twice to you, and a Tentacle Attack. 10 damage and 11 damage, so have that. Tentacle Attack is you need to make me a DC 13 Constitution saving throw.
20.
Okay, so you are still not grappled. No matter how hard they try, they can't grab onto your pecs. Not working. I feel like your pecs are having a whole separate fight with this thing's tentacles. And it's just kung fu noise.
Many have tried, all have failed.
Alright, so let's see. That was the first guy. This is going to be the second guy. Same process. 1. That's a hit. Check for crits. That's no crit. Second attack. That's a hit. Crits. No crit. 2 more. 10 and 8. Each of which is half for you, so 9 damage. And 1 more DC 13 con saving throw, please.
11.
Okay, so you are now grappled again. Clearly this one was smart, like went for like your clothes, like your back, something. And the remaining one, let's see, Ariane, you are, I'm assuming, kind of up out of reach, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those will also charge forward and attack Tohan. There we go. Yeah. They hit. Rolling for crit. Crit. Second attack. That is a miss. But roll with advantage. That's a super miss. Okay, so only one of them hit that time. That is 9 damage cut in half. And you're already grappled. It doesn't matter if this guy also grapples you, because you can't be double grappled. I mean, I don't know if you can be double grappled, but we'll say for the purpose of this battle you can't. That's all of them. That brings it all the way back up to Venadia for round 4.
Okay. So as these guys are dying, Hunter's Mark gets transferred along whenever they drop to 0.
Yep.
So I guess it would be on I don't know, whatever the next one to the right there was, the one that's in front of Tohan, I guess.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go attack that one.
Okay.
Right. So there's a crit. A hit. And another hit. I forgot I should roll the damage right after the crit, huh? It says it does it automatically. Oh well, we're gonna have to add 7 to that one.
Okay, so it's 17 doubled plus 7, right? That's 34. Plus 7 is whatever that is.
Or no, it should be wait.
Because you double the damage on the
Yeah.
dice,
Yeah.
and then add
Right,
your
so that's plus
modifier.
10. So no, I'm saying so I've got to add 7 to 17, so it would be 24. Because I rolled a 7.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, so 24 damage on the first one.
Yeah.
And then your second 2 hits.
And then I still got to run the roll the d6s too.
Yep.
That's a 12 and then a 13.
This thing is so dead.
25. And let's see.
Like the D6s is
These
just you
guys
chopping at its dead body.
All right, and then another 12 on top of all that, whatever.
So like your original hunter's mark was you looking at the creature and being like, "You're fucked," and then when that one died, you moved it over and you were like, "Now you're fucked." It's like I wasn't even the one. All right, so that Chul is very dead. All right. Next up is going to be. That's not right.
Maggie, I think.
Yeah, Maggie. I hit back on my browser accidentally instead of backing up inside of D&D Beyond, so my initiative order got fucking screwed up here somehow. But yes, it should be Maggie, I believe.
What are the two? What hit points the two left have?
Like 7. They each have like 7 hit points.
Oh, okay.
Like if you hit them, they're gonna die. At this point, a stiff breeze is gonna knock them over.
Just do a backhand, like both of them at once, like bap bap.
Yeah, I mean you can.
Maggie just
Frying pan.
One
the
frying
shit out of
pan
one.
slap, yeah. Ting ting.
Maggie gives them a stern glare and they both fall over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Spiritual weapons about to knock out one of them. 12 damage. Yeah, I don't remember what the attack roll, but it was like 20 something.
Yeah.
And we'll polish the other one off with Toll the Dead, unless they can save Wisdom 17.
Probably not. Things have a whopping +0 to their wisdom. And they rolled a 2.
Cool.
I'm so stupid it actually killed me. Ah.
All right, 17 damage.
Excellent. Very dead. They are very dead. All of them are now dead. There is still this nice little wall of fire going here. Tohan, the previous effects of your Horn of Blasting are now coming to fruition with these cracks in this crystalline structure appearing greater and greater. And you can now see that chunks of the crystal are beginning to sort of fall off due to the heat of the flame and the earth around it being disrupted. And I need all of you to make a dexterity saving throw, DC 15, to make sure that you get out of the way of these falling crystal shards.
Okay.
Including
I also
Mizek?
break my concentration on the flames and that.
Okay. Yeah, I would say so because this thing kind of goes up towards the ceiling. So, like, if it falls, it could fall in pretty much any direction. If it's 20 or 30 feet tall, it could definitely hit you where you are if it falls over at you.
Fair enough.
Although I would probably give you advantage for being up on a broom and being kind of in a better spot to just move out of the way.
Maggie got a 15 miraculously.
Okay.
I have advantage on dex checks and failed.
I got
Ooh,
17.
yikes. I got 22.
So here. Hopefully, your dire wolf also made it. He got an 18.
Tohan's like trying to get away, but then some instinct kicks in and he's like, wait, I can catch it.
So you are going to take 2d8 plus 4 piercing damage. That's actually going to roll for you guys or not. So plus 4 is 14 piercing damage altogether.
Okay.
And you're still raging, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I believe that's half too, isn't it?
It is.
Damn super lizard. All right. As you seek, or I'm sorry, as you kind of search the spoils of these guys, which I'm assuming you guys are going to kind of look through all these weird, creepy crab creatures.
Oh, yeah.
Describe what you find.
Some perfectly cooked meat.
That's what I was wondering.
Do we find any lemons?
How does it smell in here right now?
Yeah, it definitely smells like cooked lobster in here, like the
Oh my
strongest
God.
cooked lobster smell ever.
Does anyone have any butter on them? Or
I
lard
asked-
or anything?
I offered to use predigitation to add some butter flavor.
Oh, yeah,
Shit, you have a
you could
butter
totally do
flavor
that.
spell?
Yeah, I mean, I would say prestidigitation is definitely, that's right up the alley of what it could do. You know, like just like, it's basically like a minor illusory magic, so why couldn't it affect taste? Absolutely.
Well, it actually says it can.
Amazing.
Oh, does it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
That's canonically a
You
better
can
and better
chill,
spell.
warm, or flavor up to 1 cubic foot of non-living material for an hour.
That's incredible.
And my random
We're gonna
source
save a
code.
lot of money on food.
Give me your worst rations.
Well, at least make sure they're not like rotting at least.
We got
But
pressed.
yeah, I can make gruel taste like something awesome.
Absolutely.
Between
Pizza
Maggie and I
oatmeal
think we're
tonight-
good.
for dinner tonight, guys.
You can make something awesome taste next level.
We use their face tentacles like calamari.
Aaron had asked Reggie if that meat is safe to eat.
I'm guessing not. They're abyssal creatures.
Well, it's worth a shot.
They're just twisted crustaceans.
And if it smells good, that's why I'm asking Reggie if
Ooh.
it's safe.
I don't
Reg-
think they're actual anthropods.
Yeah, Reggie rolled a 13 on his perception here, so I think Reggie is like, yeah, they're probably safe.
Believe it or not, I've never eaten a chul.
Let's see.
Anyone have any bonuses to nature?
Well, I feel like Maggie's survival might give some insight.
Yeah, you could definitely do a survival check to see.
I have some of that too.
I'll give her a hand by like smelling around to see if I can smell anything.
Oh yeah, I have a
Oh,
plus
nice.
7 on nature.
Maggie got the survival check.
26 plus 3, 29.
Okay. Maggie,
What do you think, Mags? Can you cook something up with this?
you absolutely think you can cook this shit and make it like, but here's the thing, you're pretty sure that this is going to be one of those situations kind of like making blowfish, where like if you do it wrong, it could go really poorly.
Hmm.
But like if it goes right, it could go really, really well. You might have the best meal you've ever had. Like you've
Just
heard
don't
of
roll
these
a
things.
one.
Yeah, you've never heard of a chul as a monster, but you have heard of like chul fillets or something in like a cookbook you once read.
Oh man, Maggie's hungry enough to be
Yeah,
considered.
this smells really fucking good, Maggie. I believe in you. You're a damn good cook.
Yeah, Aaron is like ready to put butter on everything.
I'm like
Giant
wiping the
lobster
drool
rib.
off my chin right now.
I like that Tohan is the only reasonable one out of the group that's like, you know, guys, these are demons, right? Like they come from the abyss. Maybe don't eat them. No, okay, whatever. Let's go. Let's do it.
The nose knows, okay?
So also in this in the remnants of this crystalline structure, and now you also a couple things happen here. One, you notice that the glow in the surrounding area has faded just a little bit. It's still there, but it's not quite as bright now. Like the plants and things have lost a touch of their glow. So like the act of destroying this crystalline structure seems to have actually reduced the potency of that phase rest magic in the area. The other thing that you notice is that inside of where this crystalline structure had grown up, there is some sort of like an urn or maybe a small receptacle of some sort, and inside of it is several stacks of coins. There is actually 60 platinum pieces and 30 gold pieces stacked up, alongside of an herbal poultice, a small pair of dice that seem to be made out of bones, and a bunch of pretty colored ribbons that have different prints and designs on them, just ribbons.
Can I do an Arcana check to see if the dice have any kind of magical?
Yeah, absolutely.
11.
Okay. You come back. The dice and the ribbons do not have any sort of an aura about them. The herbal poultice does have a small amount of like a natural healing magic of some sort in it. It is very like subtle. It's not like a high magic item. It's not like a healing potion, but it does appear to have healing properties to it. And the coins are just coins.
So it was 60 platinum
And
how many?
30 gold pieces. And these you notice are these are the gold dragons of Waterdeep. These are the same types of coins you guys actually got theoretically paid in when you were in Waterdeep. So these are local coins too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, local to the plane of existence you're on. Alright, so I can now end this combat. I don't
Maggie,
know.
do you want to take this herbal poultice?
Sure. Yeah. I'm sorry. I missed. Did we identify it?
It just has healing. We know that it has healing properties from my Arcana check.
Yeah, if you want to do a medicine check for me.
Hey Zach,
Yes.
how long is 5 minutes? Because that's how long my dire wolf lasts.
Your dire wolf blips out of existence.
Uh,
Blip. I imagine he lets out a weird yelp when he does. You.
I nod farewell to my wolf. He did well and took a bunch of damage for everyone.
Ruby dooby doo.
I yell, "Bye, Wolfie!"
It's 11.
Yeah.
17 on medicine.
Okay. You're pretty sure that this is a combination of some kind of general garden herbs and cooking herbs that is made up into a type of tea that is known to extract poison slowly over time. Like it's a not a straight antidote. There's no like strong magic with it. But if someone, let's say, were to get into a bad patch of poison ivy or something like that, you could apply this, boil it, soak it on them like a poultice,
Okay.
and it would help ease some of their pains or ease their discomfort.
Cool. So hold on to it.
Aranith would like to grab the dice.
Okay. Yeah, they're not even really ornately carved or anything. It seems to be just literal knucklebone dice. They're just some sort of a knucklebone from some creature, and there's a series of 5 of them, and they're all just dice.
Huh. She has a slight gambling streak in her.
Excellent. Your dungeon master will keep that in mind. How do I
It's
actually
part of the
encounter?
chaotic tendencies of her.
Okay. Yeah, would you guys like to try to look around in these caverns anymore? Or, I mean, there's to give you a quick descriptor, it is more of the same, essentially. It is mushrooms. There is some more of the kind of tall, woody mushrooms that you guys use to build your campfire out of. Several more of the glowing ferns that Maggie identified as edible earlier.
Well, we probably should forage up some rations
Okay.
before we do anything.
Yeah, so it takes you a little time, but you're definitely able to scour the area and see that there appears to be an exit from this area headed east, just past where the wall of fire was. There does not appear to be any other exits in this local area. And you are able to gather up enough sort of ingredients that you could make another day's worth of rations.
Aranith looks longingly at the lobster.
Has anybody tried this yet?
Did Maggie cook it?
She hasn't yet, but there's the ones that got cooked in the fire, basically. I'd say if there's some fire happening, Maggie's down to try it and suggests that somebody.
Absolutely.
That's okay.
Eric-
Use this one that I already minced up into tiny little pieces.
Exactly. Suggest that Venadia tries it first, and if she is hurt by it, then Maggie will just cure her up.
Aranith quickly uses predigitation to add some butter if Valadia would like.
Okay. Venadia, just make me a Constitution saving throw.
23.
Okay. Now, so you are able to keep this down. You have no problem eating it. Maggie, let's have you make a survival check to see if you prepared this properly.
That's a fun roll.
Didn't we all get a point of inspiration?
Everybody does have inspiration.
14 not not using lucky or inspiration. So
Okay. You are fairly certain you've prepared this correctly.
Guys, it tastes fucking good. I don't know. You should eat it.
Does everyone have to take a Constitution saving throw to eat it, or was Beneda testing it for all of us?
It would be a Constitution saving throw to essentially see if it's kind of like a matter of like if you like the flavor of it, if you maybe have an allergy to shellfish. I don't like it's Constitution is
All right.
essential, like a representation of your character's overall health.
Erinith wants to try it. She's all about it. She puts some butter flavor on it and starts and takes a bite. And got a 10.
Okay, yeah, you're also able to keep it down, although you do detect kind of a weird briny flavor to it for a minute, and you're kind of like, I don't know if I like this or not. Like, it's not what I expected. Like, you were expecting lobster and got something that was maybe a little bit more similar to, like, I don't know, crispy eel. Still
Just
delicious,
add more butter.
just different, yeah.
Add more butter flavor to it.
Erinith decides to add some eel sauce flavor to it.
Oh, nice.
And shrugs and eats a little more because she wants the substance.
Right.
Juan pulls one of his 28 rations out and starts eating it.
the only one being reasonable right now. I love it. Johan, who will eat gators. Nope. I draw the line at demons, guys.
Gators don't understand languages and stuff. These are sentient creatures, I'm pretty sure, even though they're evil.
You talk to the gators.
Not anymore, they're not.
You cast a spell and you talk to those gators.
That's true.
They were sentient creatures.
Yeah.
Now they're meat.
It's a circle of life. Alright. So yeah, you guys are, I'm assuming, after you eat this stuff, anyone who would like to imbibe these lobster-esque creatures may. Maggie, are you eating them too?
I think she's gonna hold on to some. Basically, she doesn't want the healer to be unable to heal others if it is
I think
dangerous.
you want to see how it works out the next morning, don't you?
Exactly.
That may be a very good plan, Maggie. All right, so yeah, you guys are left. I mean, if you're assuming that you are continuing on in the same direction, you are kind of railroaded down this next tunnel. Hey, I get to do my little shuffle thing again. We flip the whole deck. This one. There we go. Let's see. Eeny, meeny, chili, beanie. Right. You guys approach the entrance. You can look down into this hallway here. You guys all together. And you can see that there is what appears to be a kind of cliff along this edge that leads into a large chasm, and there is kind of a stone bridge that leads down into this chasm. And over here, the cliff path continues out into these weird rocky outcroppings that are sort of raised up. So down here in this, right about there, is some kind of a low point of a room that is led down to by this pathway. And keep my descriptor here so I can remember what the hell I wrote down. You can see that at the near the base of this pathway down, that there is a patch of black and green kind of fungus, like a carpet type fungus, that is slowly climbing over what appears to be some kind of metal box, like it's about the size of a chest or so. And you can see a creature. Oops, a few details page. You can see a creature kind of off in the distant part of this lower area that has on its back 3 fairly large tentacles. And as it turns and begins eating some of this fungus, you can see that it's got these kind of rather large spiny teeth coming off from it. They just appear to be kind of turning and shredding fungus into its mouth. And as some sort of small, sightless flying creature flies by it, one of its tentacles just shoots out and snatches this thing, and without missing a beat, it crams it into its mouth along with all this fungus that it's eating. It does not seem to notice your presence on the upper edge of the cliff here.
Does Ivago say anything about it?
It comes back as a
Odiug.
Odiug. I don't know if you guys can hear what happens in my headphones, so I'll just repeat it. It tells you that it is an aberration, that is to say, demon, or something from the abyssal planes, anyways, and that it is considered a telepathic creature, although its telepathy is more simple than that of most telepathic creatures. It is more of transmit simple messages and images. It is essentially kind of just a beast, we'll say. It may be of abyssal origin, but it is basically an animal. It does warn you about the tentacles being a potential source of danger, as this thing eats pretty much everything.
How big is it?
It is a large aberration, so maybe like 10 feet across. Let's see, I'll leave it put one. Draw a circle of where this thing is. Oh, yeah. Can I draw the circle? Hey, there we go. It's kind of an area that's maybe about that big that is underhanging this cliff here. Make it. My monsters here. The only disadvantage of online play is bouncing back and forth between multiple screens. Search. OT. No. Yeah, it's about that big. So he's kind of hanging out down there. We'll say that cliff goes down maybe like 30 feet down into a depression in the ground. And like all around the cliff or all around that low point seems to be just kind of a walled in canyon with the only way in or out for a land creature to be walking up this narrow path here. Reggie pipes up and tells you the Underdark is filled with all sorts of creatures like this. Some say that there's a direct connection to the lower planes, such as the Nine Hells and the Abyss, that enter directly into our world through the Underdark.
I asked Reggie if he senses anything about the piece of the wand here. Or the staff, rather.
He says, "It is most odd, Miss Arianth, because when I was in Avernus, I detected it as being in Avernus. And yet, I have nearly the very same level of presence here that I did there. come to think of it, I got the same reading when I was in Sigil as well.
And where?
The city of Sigil.
Oh, gosh.
Like when you guys were in the city of Doors, he had detected the presence of it somewheres around there too. Was what I think partially what led you there.
I asked Reggie if he thinks it could be on several dimensional planes at once.
Well, that's a very interesting possibility, Miss Arianth. I think I have some lore here regarding the Rod of Seven Parts that I've often regarded as mere tall tales and fanciful thoughts of doubt scholars that didn't know what the hell they were talking about. But now I think perhaps it might actually hold some credibility. You see, tales say that there are many worlds such as ours that exist throughout many crystal spheres in the universe. And it has been said that the rod has a tale for each of these spheres. They say it has appeared on worlds filled with dragons, even more so than ours, and it has appeared on worlds filled with vast, unimaginable cityscapes where the entire world was an urban center of culture. They say that it appeared in ancient times and that it will appear again in future times. I think perhaps you may be onto something, Miss Arianth. Perhaps I'm detecting it on multiple planes because it is in fact on multiple planes.
If that is indeed the case, Reggie, how would we go about reaching it?
It's quite odd, really. I know that object so well, and yet it couldn't be that simple, could it? A simple divination spell, such as detect object, perhaps?
Maybe the last piece of wand is the friendship you find along the way.
Alas, I do not have that spell.
What was it that we learned about the Modrons? They said their god had been killed, hadn't they?
I turned to Maggie like, do you remember?
Yeah, so you guys had very briefly learned about this when you were in one of the cities of the Outlands. Um, so the Modron, the Prime, as he is called, there was rumors that he had actually been killed by someone. And essentially what Reggie is hinting at here, he's trying to maybe make a connection between the person that killed the Prime and whoever is in control of the Wand of Orcus, or the last part of the Rod of Law here, the Rod of Seven Parts. He says there has to be some connection there. There absolutely must be. I mean, it seems like all the demons are attempting to invade Avernus to get their hands on something, and it's just as likely to be the Wand of Orcus as anything else. It's a very treasured prize amongst their kind. It is one of the highest honors to be in possession of it as a thrall of Orcus, as it is known that often deities and gods and demons and things will have one of these magic items or weapons out there, and they'll just kind of leave it wherever because they know it's going to cause more problems on its own than not. But he says there must be a connection. I mean, the way that you've been dragged around the universe in the last few weeks, there's something grander going on than each of these stories. The twins, the Lich, the armies, the dragons, all the time travel. There's got to be one connecting thread somewheres.
I agree. We will have to do some research once we find our way out of here.
Yes, well, that is the task at hand, isn't it, miss?
Unless everybody, does everybody still think we should continue searching around here, or do you want me to try to use my spell to get us out of here?
Well, Maggie doesn't have detect magic prepared, but could have it prepared after another long rest. So I guess I'll do that next time we do a long rest. That's what Reggie said would help us find it, right?
Like a locate object, I think is the spell that he was specifically talking about.
Yeah, I don't know that Does anyone know if that's a cleric spell?
Let's see.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I also don't have that prepared, but could after a long rest.
Nice. Well, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to keep exploring in here?
With me. Unless someone else can do something different.
It sounds like finding the thing before Orcus does is our priority, right?
Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we really, if Reggie's sensing it here, it might make sense to just keep wandering around until it gets to a point where you can do that spell.
All right.
Unless there's somewhere else that you think we could get more information.
And then what was the Lulu was gonna help us, but what was the thing that she had how was she gonna help us?
That I don't remember.
So I know specifically Lulu was planning on assisting you with trying to save Elturel and things like that. Did you guys make a deal with Lulu when you were down in Avernus?
We didn't make a deal with her, but she did say that she had a way that she could help us.
That's right. More things that can go in my notes. Let's see. Well, it's 8:43 right now. First combat rank. So I don't know if you guys wanna. You guys are free to do pretty much whatever you want right now. I mean, we can kind of leave off here if you want, or if you guys wanna try and deal with this OTU, or if you want to just sneak past it and see what else is out in this particular area, or if you want to try your teleport thing. Your dungeon master is a very open-minded individual. And has a very
What do
loose
you guys think?
definition of storytelling.
I guess if it could be in here, we might as well keep looking here, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good for calling it a night too, but I also want to find out what's in that chest that the OT boo's near. So
Fair enough on that. I'm always interested in seeing if there's any new magical items to find.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, so I've got all these encounters saved. I got rid of all the ones from 2 weeks ago because they were just cluttering up my encounter thing. So yeah, see you guys, we can pick up right here next week. Unless anybody has stuff that they're doing next week.
Not that I know of so far.
I don't think so.
I mean, I have my daughter next weekend, but that's not a big deal because I drop her off at 5 on Sunday. So, awesome. Yeah, hopefully between now and then I can figure out what the hell the common thread is between all these things. Because, boy, your DM is not, yeah. Like, there's just this, I'm missing like one little tidbit of information myself, and I don't know how I want to tie it all together. I've been literally scouring the Forgotten Realms wiki, and there's so much stuff that ties together, and I know I'm back to knowing how exactly I want to get you guys to the end of the story, or how I want my part of the story to end. but I have no clue how you guys are gonna get there. Still, I'm like, yeah, that's my perpetual issue as a dungeon master. Is like, I get this really cool idea for a scene. We do the scene, and then I have more questions at the end of the scene than I have answers. Like, oh,
Cool.
so yeah, that should be a good session next week, as long as I have at least a couple of at least one good night to just kind of sit down and do some writing, I think. 'Cause we're back into almost entirely homebrew stuff, but homebrew in a way that's all built around what they officially have for like canon.
No
Mhm.
doubt.
So you're playing in probably one of the more historical D&D games ever that's like trying to observe all the shit that's already happened in D&D, and it's interesting. There's definitely like discrepancies too that I've found discrepancies where like some people are like, oh, like the Dawn War occurred in this specific year, and then other sources, official D&D sources, will cite it as a different year, and I'm like, off by like a couple hundred years, and like all you can do as a DM is chalk it up to it was ancient times and there was bad record keeping. could have
There
been
you
in
go.
1000 DR, could have been in 1200 DR. We don't know. We don't know. All right, so let me make sure that I save this. Save game in. Save a main section. The fortunate part for me as a DM is that the Underdark has got a lot of resources out there. So I can cherry pick a bunch of cool shit from like second, third, and fourth edition, and like drop it into this, and most of it has actually already been converted to fifth edition for me by either some internet asshole or by Wizards of the Coast. So that's nice. Shut down my recording. All right, everybody. I will see you all next week.
Sounds good.
good.
Good night, everybody.
Everybody stay safe. Have a good night.
You too.
Good night, guys. It was fun.
See y'all.
Awesome.